Well, if it isn't Honkai Star Rail handing out free cookies left and right, then I don't know what it is. Patch 2.7 has brought us a free character selector for our standard 5-star banner, and you can also choose between a variety of 4-star characters if you complete our newest event. Due to so many options to choose from, some people might feel overwhelmed, and because of that, let us take a look at all those characters so that you can choose who to pick. We will order them into different tiers depending on how valuable they are when it comes to a meta-aligned approach. If you want to choose a character based on their looks, or if you are a Pokemon trainer and you need to catch them all, then go ahead and do so. However, for this we are purely talking about their pull value. And I will not take Eidolons into consideration because this would make everything 10 times more complicated. Alright, let us start by taking a look at our 5-star characters. Like I said earlier, I'm going to group them into different tiers, A, B and C tier to be precise. And if you don't know, you can log into the game right now and pick any of these characters completely for free. You don't need to do anything besides logging into the game. For our C tier, we have Shepard and Yangxing. The reasoning why we have those characters in C tier, why I think that they are the worst characters to choose from when it comes to our standard banner character, is because they are going to fall off fairly quickly compared to other characters in the game. Yangxing is a DPS character, so he will help you out when it comes to your early adventures if you're completely new. But if you compare him even to, let's say, Himeko or Clara, or to some of our unique characters like Fei Xiao and so on, he's simply going to lose out on value because he's not doing as much damage as those other characters. As simple as that. Shepard is a sustainer. He is going to give you shields, which will be fairly valuable at your early stages of Honkai Star Rail. But once you get to endgame activities, your enemies are going to do enough damage to simply break those shields, and he doesn't have any healing. So you will most likely die if you play Shepard in endgame activities. On top of that, his shields are somewhat unreliable because you get them by using your ultimate, which you can't do every single turn, right? So even if you have shields and your opponents are not going to break them, once they fall off and you don't have your ultimate, then good luck surviving, right? So this is the reasoning why I put these characters into C tier. Something I'm not going to take into consideration are the light cones or the relics your characters are going to use, because let's say I bring up the argument, yeah, but you could put a specific light cone or relic set onto Shepard in order to make him more usable. Well, you can do the same for every single other character in the game, right? So it doesn't really work. For B tier, we have Veld, Clara and Bailu. Bailu is in here mainly due to the reason that once you get to your endgame activities, you will need 2 sustainers because you will need 2 teams. And Bailu can be a fairly decent sustainer for one of your teams. However, there are a lot of problems when it comes to her. She's only going to give you healing, nothing else. She doesn't even have a cleanse in her kit, which can make it fairly problematic when it comes to specific fights. And on top of that, if you compare her to some of our other sustainers like Lingsha or Gallagher or even Aventurin, then she's clearly going to lose out because those other characters bring more to the field than just healing. As simple as that. And on top of that, you even have links which you can choose from our 4-star character selector, which is going to open up some other possibilities when it comes to this banner, right? So unfortunately, not that good of a character right now, but if you need a sustainer, then go ahead and choose her. Why not? Next up we have Veld, and Veld is a fairly nice to have debuffer, and he's going to do at least some damage on his own as well. The early pull value he had when the game released is because he is an imaginary character, and we didn't have that many of them in the game back then. But now we have Aventurin, we have Dr. Ratio, we have Rappa, we have Yukong and so on, right? So kinda loses out on value because of that, but if you invest into him, he will still be somewhat usable as a debuffer and a sub-ish DPS. And lastly, we have Clara here. Clara is, in my opinion, probably a fairly good DPS character, especially if you have high investment on her, like good relics and stuff like that. And she brings some unique mechanics to the field, like a taunt, for example, which we don't have that often. So she can be fairly usable or fairly beneficial for your entire team when it comes to that. But when it comes to a pure damage comparison, she's most likely going to lose out in comparison to Himeko or any of our other unique 5-star characters. And that brings us to our A tier, Bronya and Himeko. Let us talk about Himeko first, because she is a somewhat good DPS, especially if you look at activities like Pure Fiction or Simulated Universe, or if you're doing farm runs for whatever materials you need. She's fairly good, right? She does a lot of damage if you have a lot of opponents on your field. She's going to lose out massively in terms of value if we take a look at Memory of Chaos or even Apocalyptic Shadow, where we are going to fight effectively only a few enemies. And if you're fighting only a single enemy, like a world boss for example, or Apocalyptic Shadow usually, then she will lose out massively on value. As simple as that. And lastly, obviously, we have Bronya here. And Bronya is a Harmony character, she's a support character. She's going to buff your damage, she's going to piggyback one of your DPS characters by advancing the action order, and because of that she's a fairly good character to have. She is, in my opinion, the best character to choose here out of all those characters if you don't have her yet. If you compare her to characters like Sparkle or now Sunday, then sure, she's going to lose out on value because those two characters are simply put better than her. But by herself, she's still a good character who is also somewhat future-proof, because Harmony characters, generally speaking, are most likely the best characters in the game. As simple as that, right? So if you don't have Bronya yet and you still need a support character, or you want to have some more variety when it comes to support characters, then she will most likely be your best option here. When it comes to our standard, or not standard, when it comes to our 4-star selector here, you kind of need to do this new event here, but once you did it, you can choose between Mose, Misha, Juri and Lynx. I mentioned Lynx earlier, right? If you pick Lynx here, you will open up some other possibilities when it comes to our 5-star standard character, because you don't need Bailu, right? But Lynx in herself kind of suffers from the same problems that Baidu suffers from. She's going to give you healing, she does have a cleanse, but that is kind of it, right? So she does pale in comparison to characters like Gallagher or Linksha, as simple as that. When it comes to DPS characters, like all three of them, Juri, Misha and Mose are DPS characters, and Misha, in my opinion, and according to most likely everyone else, is the weakest DPS character in here. He is somewhat nice to have, and if you invest into him, he can do a lot of damage, but the same kind of applies to Mose and Juri. Juri is very good once we have her last ascension unlocked, so basically once she's at level 90 or level 80, and she will be able to do a lot of damage in break effect teams. And if you get higher Eidolons, which is very likely on our 4-star characters, she will begin to shine. She's a really, really good character who you will see in some showcases here and there. Lastly, we have Mose, who is a follow-up attack character. He is kinda a budget topaz because he brings a debuff to the field, which is going to increase the damage you do. And he is himself also going to do a lot of damage. I played him in my Fei Xiao showcase on the Creator Experience server, and I kinda was surprised by his performance. He is really good if you don't have, let's say, Topaz, for example, right? So Mose, most likely the best character to choose here, unless you get high Eidolons for Juri or you need a sustainer like Lynx. In that case, choose one of those. But in a very basic scenario, Mose is going to be the best character to choose here. So yeah, as simple as that. Mose is the best character here. And for our 5-star selector banner, I would say most likely Bronya, maybe Himeko if you already have Bronya. I myself, as you can see, Eidolon 5. I'm going to take Himeko because this will effectively give me the very first Eidolon 6 character on my account here. So that is what we're going to do here. Claim Himeko. Bang, done. Eidolon 6, let's fucking go. And yeah, that is kind of it. If you are interested, by the way, in the Divergent universe, I haven't taken a look at it yet. There is a new update for it, and maybe there are new difficulty levels and stuff like that. If that is the case, I might drop a guide when it comes to this. And obviously we have also our unknowable domain here. I did a lore video when it comes to everything regarding the story. It is a 2-part series. I will leave a link to it down in the description box or maybe up in the info card. So if you're interested in lore, and let me tell you, it was really, really good, especially due to Polka Kakamont, then go ahead and check that out. I also saw a few people asking for a guide when it comes to doing Conundrum 6 in here, because I think there's a tactic you can go for which makes it fairly easy, and maybe I will drop that in the future as well. But besides that, that is kind of it. So yeah, let me know who you picked. Let me know if you liked the video or not by leaving a like and stuff like that. And other than that, I wish you all a great day or night wherever you live, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.